Trademark Comics, and today, X-Men Blue Origins. Mama and son, Nightcrawler and his mama Mystique. Spider-Man crawler. No, Nightcrawler was dressed up as Spider-Man. So diving right in, we see here Xavier, scratching his head. Oh, no, he's telepathically telling Mystique, he's like, bitch, leave. You need to leave, right? He's like, look, you're not going to walk through the gate. I get it. You're mentally tough. But bitch, just get out of here before the situation gets worse than it already is. Okay? So Mystique's like, oh my God. She's like, she has a mental breakdown. She runs. There's Archangel. He's like, damn, I told that bitch she shouldn't have drank that last shot of tequila. And she runs off. By the way, her outfit's sexy, right? So Hellfire Gala is basically like this Hollywood formal block party, like for mutants. They have it, I think, once a year. Emma Frost and the Hellfire Gala kind of put it on, and it's where they choose who the new members of the X-Men team will be and stuff like that. But this year's Gala 2023, Orchis crashed it, literally. And so all the mutants dress up in kind of Fifth Element, very formal cocktail party attire, things you wouldn't normally see them in. So that explains her outfit. But she falls and she runs and she falls and falls and falls and splat! Scorch! I don't even know what scorch is, but she scorched herself and it appears she's gone or she's died, but there's a pool of her blood. She cracked her skull. Now don't mind this little blue baby Nightcrawler devil. I don't know who he is. He's kind of Nightcrawler's conscience or something like that. But anyway, he's fun. He's kind of cute. He's along for the ride here. And basically he's narrating along and basically saying this is Mystique's, her story, her perception after the Hellfire Gala. And so basically we see Mystique, it appears she had swam and she somehow got up from that fall. I don't know how long that drop was, but she got up. Because this little Nightcrawler baby Pokemon devil here says Raven's, her greatest power is her will, her mind, her will, okay? And so she goes to an Orchis ship. She climbs aboard the ship. Obviously, a guard is alerted, kind of like in Metal Gear Solid. He's like, hey, and she's just like, my baby. She just mentally snapped out. She's like, my baby. And in a fit of rage, she just charges this guard and snaps his neck like no one's business, right? Somehow she takes his gun then, blasts him, one arm just right off of... what are Mystique's powers? Does she got, some enhanced level of strength? I don't know. But anyway, she blasts this fool right off, and as you can see, she's in mid shapeshift form to shapeshift into... a guard on that ship so that she would blend in, which she does. And then now we see her in Nightcrawler, which I'm going to call in Central Park, and you see her still. She's just belligerent and just leave me alone. And she's got this nice North Face jacket on. She's always got a nice little gun on her, okay? But basically Nightcrawler's yo, calm down, we got to talk, ma. And she's no, she's just I want my baby. Where's my baby? And he's yo, I'm your son. I'm right here. But she's just not having it. So Nightcrawler basically is chasing Mystique throughout the park, continuing to try to slow her down, calm her down so that they can talk. Meanwhile, Mystique, she keeps having these kind of seemingly pregnancy contractions, which is kind of ironic because you see her holding her stomach, but it's a mental warfare what she's going through. Her memories are starting to come back. And, she's kind of in and out here. She's very erratic. Nightcrawler's trying to be very rational and calm. And then she begins to tell him the story. She begins to dive into the past now. And he says something that kind of triggers a flashback that she was masquerading, as the wife of Baron Christian Wagner, right? Who we presumed, was Nightcrawler's father, right, at some point, or at least that's where he got the last name from, right? Kurt Wagner. And there you see here a nice kind of gathering of people, some kind of party, and this hot little redhead right here, that is who Mystique was back then, right? And the woman who's back to back with her is someone who we're all very familiar with, okay? Now, it is Destiny. That's Irene, exactly. So what we come to find out is then Mystique's like, don't bring her up, don't mention her. Nightcrawler's basically trying to say, like, look, I know what's going on. He talks about Azazel, who is the teleporting immortal demon, where we assume Nightcrawler gets his teleporting powers from. The iconic bamf, B-A-M-F, bamf, right? And there you see, that's Mystique over there underneath the bed. They had relations. Azazel clapped them cheeks, but Mystique is kind of like, eh. And now this is very important, guys, because we're gonna see this panel once again, and it's done on purpose, because what's happening is Mystique's memories are unraveling back to the truth. And so this is the truth that she thought. This was the reality that she kind of altered in her mind, was that her and Azazel had relations, and there's her husband Christian Wagner with their maid Alfred, and there you see her sporting a nice little baby bump. But no, that's not it, right? Then Nightcrawler's like, so did you take him out? Did you murder him? And she's like, you don't boast if you've taken someone out, if you've murdered someone, little devil. And she said, what changed it all? He was like, oh, it must have been the childbirth. And she's like, no, it was the moment I felt my skin against his skin. That was when both blue, his blue skin against my blue skin. And then again, she skips to the end, kind of like what we all know, even from the animated series, right? She's running, she's fleeing with baby Nightcrawler in her arms. She goes out, into the woods or the wilderness. And this is why Mystique had disdain towards Nightcrawler, because she had assumed that she abandoned him, right? Logically, if you abandon someone, there must have been a pretty good reason for it. So she's like, well, he must have not really meant much to me. But she then has another breakthrough, and she says, I went to rescue my wife. Nightcrawler's like, Zahwist? Like, wait, what? Hold on. You said what? What you talking about, mama? And she's like, but she wasn't there. She wasn't there. And then pow, like, she has this like her nose basically like Hadouken's blood, and then he's just like, wait. Nightcrawler's like, don't tell me Destiny's involved in this. Oh, Zig Heisen. And then she pulls the gun on him, and she's like, what did you do to my baby? Woo, bro. Nightcrawler's like, hold on there, mom, bitch. All right, straight up chops that handgun in half with some kind of Dragon Ball Z Trunk Zamasu lightsaber sword. She's like, bye, woo, slink. And basically, this is Nightcrawler's hope sword, okay? And so Nightcrawler basically gives this sword to his mother, because this is kind of like the light in the darkness. It'll bring out the truth. And when Mystique grabs a hold of Nightcrawler's truth, his hope sword, and he hopes it's going to help her, she has this kind of awakening and is like, yeah! And there you see kind of this like kaleidoscope of memories behind her, like shattered glass. And there you see, how can I help? That's Xavier. And you see all this. Now her memories and fragments are starting to come back to her now. And now we begin this journey of Mystique unraveling the truth of basically Nightcrawler's, his origin and her birth, and where's her baby, because she keeps crying, where's her baby. But here's the key. You see her on her knees there. She says it's all about her. Who? Destiny. And then she goes on, she said, we never had a simple love. And we see here the two girls having a nice little lunch, some wine, some cheeses, hopefully it's raw cheese, some crackers, some imported meats from Finland. A nice Audi pulls up, and two gentlemen get out, who they've got money, they're loaded. But basically Mystique is telling Nightcrawler that her and Destiny had always agreed that if circumstances called for it, they choose lovers or partners, wealthy men or whatever, who Mystique deemed were her toys. And this basically was the Mystique and Destiny show. Now, I got a comment on my mind, and I'm not going to say, but basically these two women are basically just doing whatever they want. They're using their powers in conjunction to exploit and extort and basically be very, very selfish. And again, this doesn't really have much to do with Nightcrawler, as we're going to continue to find out here. And so that she even says, for the love of each other, we bled the world dry. Like, just how like Jesus. But I guess coming from Mystique, what do you expect? So she marries, the Kurt Wagner, Christian Wagner guy. And then here's the thing, okay? So here's the thing, right? So she tells Christian Wagner, right, that she's hired a maid now, okay? So this is Irene, a crafty little plot and way for her to have Irene closer to her, right? Now this gentleman right here, you see, that's Azazel. Now, God, damn, look at Mystique, or just God, look at that outfit. Do you see that? I mean, barely cuffed, just God damn. Like, I know it's a drawing, but my, I mean, I'll take both of them. But God, look at Mystique, just looking saucy and good. So everything I just said right now, Azazel, as you can see right there, he notices her too. Okay, so Azazel comes into town as a businessman, Azazel comes into town as a businessman to basically help Mystique's husband with some financials, okay? And so that's kind of how he comes into the picture. They have an affair, and Mystique's pretty much like she grew bored of him faster than she did her husband, okay? Nightcrawler puts his sword back away, and she begins to then continue on her story. And Mystique is basically saying, all I ever wanted was longevity, liberty, and luxury. Is that too much to ask for? It's like, so there we see her and Irene in bed, cuddled up, spooning, having late night little conversations. And now this is where Mystique is talking about the love that her and Irene had. It was like a roller coaster, right? Their passion would turn into pain. They'd break up, get back together, break up, get back together. And this is a point in their love story where Mystique senses that they're going on to another pain point where Mystique has to compete with fate, because Mystique is going to later reveal that it is always her visions. It's always her it's always her visions. It's always her fucking visions that come in the way of their love or their relationship. So then Irene, or Destiny, isn't having any visions for quite some time and months because she's distracted with something else. This grand plan that we're going to see unfold right before our very eyes. And this plan all started with Destiny wanting a family with Mystique. Hold up, wait, what? Some of you are like, okay, yeah, they're going to adopt or whatever, right? Wrong. Mystique, now this is the part I don't get. There were other pregnancies, other births before and after, accidents, inconveniences, tragedies upon arrival. Okay? Now, basically what happens is, long story short, Mystique is not just a shapeshifter, ladies and gentlemen. She is a gene shifter. That's right. So Mystique took parts from Azazel, Christian, all the other countless men or whoever that she's been with, and she literally biologically restructures herself, her gametes, her chromosomes, everything, and she turns into a man for the sake of, yes, as she says here, so we made a baby, just her and me. Yeah, so they made a baby together, and basically that's what they did. Now Nightcrawler is kind of like, wait, well, how's that going to work? You two are female, and she's like, listen, like, I'm Mystique, and I'm going to do whatever I want, and that's what I did. And so here she changes back into her classic Mystique costume, and she further continues the story. And she's basically telling Nightcrawler, like, this is your fault. You gave me that hope sword, and it started unraveling all my memories. So we're going to continue. We're going to just continue and get through this. And then she throws in more shade and says, I always wanted a daughter. Now keep that in mind, okay? She always wanted a daughter, so keep that in mind. Now this here is kind of like a confidential, classified little recording, if you will, from Dr. Nemesis, who I believe was one of the... Oh, no, that's Dr. Stasis. Dr. Nemesis from the Quiet Council on Mystique basically explaining what we have now learned is that she's not just a mere shapeshifter. She doesn't just change her skin. She can change her gametes and all kinds of things. He goes in to say, does she possess Omega level mutantry? And not necessarily, because she's never really shown that she could display or mimic the X gene. Here we have another memory contraction, where she kind of has another flashback of truth. And she remembers now that it was her who broke up with Azazel. He kind of countered it and said, no, I just wanted to spread my genes, pass my seed, and that's it. Now we see this same scene again with Mystique showing the baby bump. Now her husband, Christian Wagner, is becoming very, very subconscious about this relationship between Azazel and her, and he notices. So basically he catches her and Irene in the bed together, and he's like, you two strumpets, you Sapphis, which is a name for, I guess, two female lovers. And basically, Mystique in a rage attacks him, boom, takes him out, and right before he closes his eyes and goes to see his maker, she reveals to him her true nature, which is her blue self. That's not who he always loved. It ain't who he got married to. She then, Bill goes on to say that she would, for months after the murder of Christian Wagner, would portray him to the public just to keep up appearances, as well as his wife showing the baby bump so that no one would see. She also fired all of their staff and said it wasn't anything personal, just financials were going down. Meanwhile, her and Irene took baths together and lived it up, and here comes another contraction, and whoa, here we see the moment of truth, people, the birth of Nightcrawler. Yes, Mystique is on the left, and that is Destiny on the right. So there you have it, people. Destiny gave birth to Nightcrawler officially as of this issue. Mystique did not give birth to Nightcrawler. It was her lover, Destiny, because Mystique impregnated her by changing biologically into a male. Now, what's weird, I know you're trying to wrap your brain around this. So, yes, Mystique is Nightcrawler's biological parent or mother or whatever she turns into. But her genetics and genes are in him, and so is Destiny's. And so I'm assuming he got Azazel's teleporting because Mystique took parts from Azazel to form the man that she turned into. So basically the guy's like, something's wrong with the baby. He's blue. Babies aren't blue. She's like, he's perfect. She shows the baby, I'm blue just like you. I'm blue just like you. Dabba dee dabba die. Dabba dee dabba bye. I'm blue. So they're blue together. And now she doesn't really care who sees them as they are. This guy's like, oh shit, hell no, I didn't sign up for this. The nurse is like, oh my God, I didn't go to nursing school for this. So they go and tell the whole town, look, there's a blue baby up there with a blue bitch who was pretending to be Christian Wagner's wife, and she's not. We got to get pitchforks and fire and flame and go take them out. So Destiny tells Mystique, just run. I saw a vision. I'm going to survive. Take the boy and go. She runs. They're throwing fireworks at her, pitchforks. But guess what? Here's the moment of truth, the pivotal moment, people. Mystique thought she abandoned Nightcrawler. She temporarily did, okay? Against her Destiny telling her, I'll be fine. She gets second thoughts, and she wants to go back to the castle and check on Destiny. She goes there, so she puts baby Nightcrawler in this little stump. He's asleep. She goes up. Now, again, I don't know how Mystique is just whooping people's ass. Like, dragging these two men by, like, what has she got? Superhuman strength or some shit? I don't know how strong she is, but she takes these two guys out. Destiny's gone. She goes back to the tree. Nightcrawler's gone. And she has a mental breakdown. She loses two people she cares about most in the world, all in a matter of, like, I don't know, 5 minutes. Congratulations, Raven Darkholme, you dumbass. Now we see Nightcrawler. This whole story has literally brought him to his knees. This is worse than like a Maury father reveal show. They're both just broken and distraught. He's got a tear somehow through his eye, and he's like, look, I'm going to show you. I should have showed you. It's me. I'm Nightcrawler. She's like, you dumbass. I knew it was you the whole time. The second I saw you in that Spider-Man suit. You know it was a dead giveaway? Your fucking tail. So he's like, oh, well, I guess. And she goes on to tell him even more stuff. And basically, they go through it. She has one final kind of story contraction here, and it's where now she reveals that 5 years after that incident, she finds Destiny at a park, just sipping on a Starbucks, right? Destiny's just staring out at the ocean or at the lake. They're at a park, just sipping on a mocha jocha latte. Now, that little girl is very, very important. As you probably read her name, that is Anna Marie. So here's what happens. Mystique goes up to her. How dare you, bitch? You didn't call. You didn't text. You didn't send a telegram. She's like, Raven, I understand. Calm down. You always wanted a daughter. I found you a daughter. It took me 5 years. But the pimps and the pushers saw her. You got 15 minutes to go up, introduce yourself, and say, hey, sweetie, we're going to take care of you. Okay? This is probably the point here now where Rogue's story maybe gets a little bit retconned too, because Rogue now at this time is 8 years old, I believe, and she's been homeless for a month. Destiny's been having dreams about her, so this is why she came to the park. So she's like, I'll tell you everything. You just got to go get the girl. And then the classic, hey there, sugar. So now this is where, mama, right? There's Rogue and Mystique. So they end up taking the girl. They raise her, and, basically Destiny starts telling her what happened. And basically it was Destiny who made the phone call to Azazel to get him to come to town to do business dealings with Christian Wagner, all in an attempt to then get Mystique and Azazel to have sex so that he can have a child that he thought was his son, because Destiny had a vision that Azazel would assume this grand power and just take over everything unless he had an heir to stop him. And that's what you see here depicted, some of the Marvel heroes and the X-Men's. Captain America's got to be in everybody's business. Goddamn. So that's the whole point there, is that Nightcrawler was kind of just, a tool of fate. Destiny says she regrets it. She didn't want to give him away, but she had to. And here we see Mystique's mad. She's like, my son's more than a tool of fate. You bitch. He's just choking her. And Destiny's like, wait, there's a way. Let me go. And here's the way. Mr. Clean. That's right, none other than Charles Xavier, the world's greatest telepath. So Destiny has a plan that Xavier can basically erase or tamper their memories, so at least they can go on the rest of their lives being happy, because we all know how much women love to be happy. So they can't do that with all this, with the pressure and weight of the guilt of what they did. Mystique reluctantly goes along with this plan again, because she says that Destiny always has a way of persuading her. I wonder what that way is. So I think it resides between her thighs. But anyway, Mystique wants to know. She said, I have to know that the baby was mine. So this kind of now explains, at least for me who didn't read the Uncanny X-Men, I just watched the animated series, why Mystique kind of always was indifferent towards Nightcrawler and kind of a bitch to him. Well, at least we have kind of this right here. Xavier tells him, like, look, if I do this, Miss Darkholme, I must warn you. I have observed that where memories have been perforated rather than removed, the mind will weave its own stories around the imperfections. So Xavier didn't remove their memories. He kind of just altered them, tweaked them here and there, put some daisies and roses here. And here we have everything comes full circle. Mystique realizes that Xavier did this. She starts blaming Xavier and saying that he made me forget my love for you. He made me think I abandoned you. He stole all the time that we could have had. And so Nightcrawler basically tells her at the gala, he undid what he did to you all those years ago. And we have a very nice moment here between Nightcrawler. He says, your son is here. He's always needed you. His entire lonely life. He's needed his mother, the love of his mother. And Nightcrawler and Mystique embrace, and kind of something that we've kind of all, I guess, a long time coming to see Mystique genuinely embracing Nightcrawler. I don't know if they've ever done it before in the comics because, like I said, I've only been collecting comics for 2 years now, but I do know from past that Mystique's always kind of been indifferent towards Nightcrawler and pushed him away, and she favored Rogue, who wasn't even her real biological child. And there we see this nice happy ending, and the two of them walking down the park now. Maybe they're going to go, I don't know, get some Starbucks, okay, mom and son. But that was a really good issue, guys, a one shot. Make sure to pick that book up if you already have not. And this has been Trademark Comics. Stay tuned, and until next time, I am out.